right, Lindsey, now that you've recovered yourself, what is
I'm
in
calm. I need to be calm so I can move on to the next
what's in
topic.
your lens today?
We're talking about Harvard. So condemning anti-Semitism on campus is non-negotiable, I think, for everyone. But happening at Harvard right now, what's happening is not about just confronting hate. To me, it's about whether universities are for sale to the highest political bidder. Hear me out. The Trump administration has dangled a $500 million settlement to end its feud with Harvard, but the fine print would reshape how the university operates. From what gets taught to who oversees faculty to how students are policed. If Harvard takes this deal ironclad or without ironclad safeguards, it's not just selling out its students and professors, it's setting a precedent that the White House can use funding as a weapon to force ideological compliance. Now, we've seen the playbook. Columbia University paid $200 million to make investigations disappear, and in return accepted an independent monitor reporting directly to the administration, plus sweeping changes to campus governance. As one analysis warned, quote, academic freedom is severely threatened with a provost hanging over Middle Eastern studies and another monitor constantly reporting back to Trump. Translation, the chilling effect will last far longer than these headlines. Now, Brown University fought for and won a better outcome. It had a $50 million settlement with the administration and came with guarantees that the administration wouldn't dictate Brown's curriculum or content of academic speech, and no intrusive oversight. Now, Harvard's lawyers are reportedly pushing for similar protections, but with 10 times more money, that $500 million on the line, the political pressure is far greater. More than a dozen Democratic Congress members who attended Harvard cautioned against a settlement on August 1st, even warning the university that if they cut a deal with the Trump administration, that will warrant, quote, rigorous congressional oversight and inquiry, meaning they're going to be talking about and explaining why they did this in Congress forever. In a statement, Congressman Sam Liccardo says, quote, we urge Harvard to defend its institutional independence and academic integrity from this blatant attempt at political intimidation. Congressman Raul Ruiz notes, quote, Harvard must stand firm in defending academic freedom and institutional independence. This is a test of values, and the university has a chance to lead by example. Now, if Harvard capitulates under financial and political duress, future presidents, Republican or Democrats, will know they can bypass the courts and instead wield federal funding as a blunt instrument to reshape campus life. That path does not just punish one school, it chills scholarship and discourse nationwide. The truth is, research dollars can be recouped in time, but once universities signal they can be coerced into political compliance, reputations, credibility, and intellectual freedom are far harder to restore. Harvard is right to be wary. The settlement it accepts now will not only define this chapter of history, but it will also set the terms for how and whether higher education in America can resist political retaliation for the decades to come.
Well, I agree that Harvard should be free of federal influence, as should other universities. Of course, the swiftest way to accomplish that would be to liberate them from the pressure of accepting federal tax dollars in the first place.
Don't take any money in the first place.
They have a $1 billion endowment, billions of dollars in their endowment. Why don't they just disperse some of those funds to make up for the missing research dollars?
Well, I think a lot of the money that is recouped from the government is going to amazing programs that fund some medical science that really has transformed and changed our world. The scientists and the research that comes out of Harvard University is used to create vaccines and medicines that have changed lives globally. And I think that we always, as America and America first, right, would want the top and the best and the brightest, even international students coming to our schools so that we are the people that have come up with all the next everything. I mean, the next best thing in AI, the next best thing in medicine. And in order to do that, it might sound like a lot, but it also sounds like it is a lot of money to run and operate the most prestigious school in the world, right? That's costs a lot. You got to pay professors properly. You have to get all these institutions funded, all the schools funded. Yes, you need to ask former people who attended the school to donate to the school, but also you need to raise funds. And so this is our system with the government. And also we want schools to be free, where students go and find out who they are, explore things, create ideas. And I think when you start to have the Trump administration hanging over them, which is not, it's not like bipartisan at all with ideas for the most part. It's pretty much my way or the highway, as we see what they're doing with a lot of the institutions throughout DC, like the museums and things. So I think if they're hanging over and combing through, what does this oversight look like? What actually needs to be reported? Because I think that Harvard is, and the students mostly are going to be made to be uncomfortable knowing that anything they do could pretty much create this cycle again. Even if it's a Democratic president, they can come in and say, well, I don't like what you're doing now. Let's threaten you 500 million. And also this number is astronomical.
This is not
How did we get to 500 million?
This is not a theoretical, what if a Democratic president comes in and does this? The Democratic presidents, the previous two ones, did this exact same thing.
They threatened funding for Harvard?
Yes.
And what was the outcome?
The
Did
outcome
Harvard
was
pay 500 million?
No, the outcome was Harvard did what they wanted them to do with respect to Title IX enforcement on accommodations for trans students. I mean, there's a question to you. Federal government comes in and says, in order to qualify for federal funding, you need to have, you need to make your male facilities available to female facilities available to female presenting male students, or we're yanking all your federal funding. Do you think that's appropriate?
No, I don't think. My whole
your
thesis
issue is with the Biden
My whole
administration.
thesis is, but it's not with one though. I can be, I think,
Yeah.
open-minded enough to understand that I don't want federal oversight over universities that have allowed an openness and a dialogue to create the next best and brightest in the world.
Some federal oversight.
But I want it to be a free space. And as long as people are not like egregiously offending each other, yes, they need to fix the problems on campus that Harvard president has addressed. They can do better with students of color. They can do better with Jewish students. They can do better with making Middle Eastern students feel like just because they are opposing what is now a war that they are not anti-Semites, right? They can do better with all of that. But it is an open institution where some of the biggest protests of our lifetimes have happened near or around or in college campuses. And I think that some of the greatest thought leaders have come from colleges that have changed the world. And so we shouldn't try to hamper that by making people cooperate with what Trump administration feels is okay, because the next administration can do the same thing. And this will just be a cycle going on and on again. And yes, I'll point to Biden and say, if you have something that is still not settled within our own government, right, about what should be done with the small, that very fringe issue of transgender bathrooms, and if that was actually on a conversation block for Biden and Harvard, which I don't know that much about that conversation that you're saying.
It wasn't just Harvard; it was every school in the country.
Then I think that it should be settled about what the law of the land is, and then we should communicate that to Harvard University and other universities. But I do not think we should just be threatening them based on what our administration feels.
That's what Biden, Obama, and Trump are all doing this under the auspices of existing federal law. They're saying that federal civil rights law, federal harassment law, already obligates these schools to act in a way, and they're not acting in that way. And so they're in violation of the law, and thus eligible to lose funding. So they're not, that's where this is coming from. They're saying it's coming from a violation of federal non-discrimination law, federal non-harassment law, federal racial equality law.
And
all things I presume you support.
What is wrong with having a conversation with the school versus starting with the threats of pulling funding? So the way that Trump goes about things, even what we're talking about in D.C., the way that he went about sending troops to L.A., he very much skips over having the conversation with the people that are most involved, like the local leadership or like the presidents of Harvard, and goes straight to threatening. And so this tactic seems like political retribution. Like, is it even about the matter at hand, which was that Jewish students on campus were feeling uncomfortable, or is this now about proving a point in ego? And that's what I would like to stay away from within every administration.
Well, next up, Trump is set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. Can anything really be gained from this summit? We'll talk about it next. Stay with us.